I am Murdock, leader of the 3 Wyvern Generals of Bern. I serve under His Majesty King Zephiel. Roy is here, is he? I would like to meet with him on the battlefield.
We have a very exciting Grand Hero battle unit this month, and that will be Murdock. He deserves a bit of hype because Murdock comes with 3 things that I consider make a good free-to-play reward unit. First off, Murdock is an Axe armor unit. For stats, he has 47 HP, 45 attack, 23 speed, 45 defense, and 35 resistance. He will have an attack super boon and a speed super boon, but Murdock doesn't really care about too much speed. This applies to most army units, especially free ones. The problem is that the developers know this, and due to army units having the high base stat totals, which translates into higher arena scores, free army units have innate value. Well, to make them less useful than say your shiny limited time premium 5-star armors, many heroic grail armors usually get a bunch of points put into speed. We've had 3 heroic grail armors this year, and each of them surpassed 30 speed. Not completely useless, but also not useful without insane investment. Reason 1 that makes Murdock a standout is that he actually is kinda min-maxed for lower speed. He will put those points into HP, attack, defense, and res. 47 HP, 45 defense are great base values, and 45 attack more than enough to put some hurt. 35 res isn't super insane, but it's 100% workable, and magical tanking is important to Murdock. Basically, Murdock knows he ain't fooling anyone. He'll accept he's gonna get doubled and just try to tank it out. Reason 2 to hype up Murdock is that he gets a unique weapon. Do you know the last time a non-5-star army unit released with their own weapon? 6 years ago in year 1 with Black Knight. Wyvern Hatchet is a 16 might weapon that grants +3 flat defense. It gives Murdock a distant counter, and if foe initiates or has more than 75% HP, inflict -6 attack and defense on the foe and grant a free follow-up attack. It also inflicts additional attack debuffs equal to 7 minus the current penalty on the foe's attack stat. First off, maybe I am crazy, but that thing is definitely not a hatchet. I don't know if something got mistranslated, but surely that's at least a tomahawk in Fire Emblem terms. That said, if my boy Ross were to get his hatchet for his refine and it's as good as this thing, I won't be complaining. Wyvern Hatchet is a distant counter weapon, but it's actually got some pretty good side perks. It adds even more defense to Murdock's base 45, it also inflicts -6 attack and defense debuffs, and it has the mechanic from the tier 4 Seal B skills. Basically, if the foe were to have 0 attack debuffs on them, then Murdock inflicts another -7 attack for a total of -13 attack. If the foe were to have a -6 attack debuff, then you would do 7 minus 6 to get a measly -1 attack debuff added on. Including the on-field debuff though, you're still gonna hit -13 attack total, but you're just not gonna go any higher. The Seal 4 skills also reward you with guard if you do have debuffs beforehand, but Murdock won't get that benefit. Now, he does very importantly get a follow-up though. Distant counter plus free follow-up is stupid good for a free unit, and then you got a pretty sizable -13 attack, -6 defense debuffs. Wyvern Hatchet is more than respectable for a free DC weapon combined with Murdock's stat spread. For the rest of his base kit, Murdock has Ignis, and this is like our 20th time seeing attack and defense ideal 3 on a non-5-star. However, Murdock also brings Special Fighter 3 with him, Mixed Phase Breath type cooldown, and Guard. Arguably one of the strongest skills in Fae at its peak, and it's simply because specials are too powerful. Back then, if you had a fast army unit with Special Fighter and you could not outspeed them, you're screwed. They charge specials super fast and they prevent you from getting special to burst them down. Generally speaking, Special Fighter worked better on the faster armor since they could get doubles, which meant actually using that prime special in one round. Well, Murdock has a built-in follow-up, so he can do the same unless you stop him. A free unit, being able to proc Ignis in one round and having distant counter and being super tanky, pretty good. This is the first time Special Fighter is on a non-5-star unit. The third reason that will make a free unit good is excellent fodder, aka even if you don't use them, they have really good value. Special Fighter 3 isn't the same untamed beast like back then, but having free-to-play access to it is pretty crazy, and the tier 4 does exist now. In essence, Murdock is amazing, good stats, unique weapon, and good fodder. Like Lumera, Hans, etc., it's a tough spot when you want to merge these heroic grail units, but you also want their best fodder skill. Look at Lumera, no follow-up 4 now exists. For those merging up Murdock, his neutral nature will grant +1 HP, attack and defense. That's fine to keep. His attack super boon would be nice, but I think you could also do plus res to shore up his weaker stat. Maybe take both plus defense and res if you spend a full ret. Sadly, super boon is not enough to hit 200 BST, but that's okay considering Murdock has a unique weapon. Now, to showcase the issue with MinMax Stats on free arm units, we have a perfect example. This year, Ludwig released, and it has been a while since the last free-to-play axe armor came to the game. With Murdock, we still only have 5 of these guys, and Sheena's the only default option. Well, Murdock and Ludwig have around the same HP, attack, and defense, except Ludwig has 9 more speed. That'd be a crazy shift if these were faster units, but at 32 base speed, that difference isn't super impactful. The trend for free arm units since just about forever is that the devs intentionally don't min-max their stats. Our last 3 free armors who all came in this generation have 30 to 32 speed. If you do not pump those speed values up or you play around them, they still get doubled, they don't double much, and it's just wasted stats. Murdock accepts he's going to get hit a lot, so he pushes those points into resistance. On the topic of unique weapons, Wyvern Hatchet having innate distant counter automatically gives Murdock a niche. Arcane weapons will even the playing field, but those purely look at a unit's stats, and guess what? We just mentioned Murdock's got the best stat spread for going pure tank. If you want to build an axe armor in the future, then you may want to watch out for Flame Emperor, who should get a refine in about half a year. That's still a ways away, but worth mentioning. In terms of playstyle and builds, Murdock actually has a decent kit to work around. The general idea is that you use his great defensive stats with his -13 attack tables to just tank it out, then you counter back with 2 attacks of your own. Murdock charges Ignis in 2 actions thanks to Special Fighter, so his follow-up attack should proc it. Even at a hilariously low estimate of 50 defense, that's already a 40 damage burst. Murdock will get doubled most likely, but he will have guard from Special Fighter that will delay enemy specials, so he only takes 2 basic attacks, hopefully. Stack on your favorite stat boosters for any combination except speed, and that's about it. Murdock gets to retaliate against ranged foes, and he can even go offensive since his follow-up attack and Special Fighter both work on the player phase. If he gets surrounded or combat ends and no deaths, then next turn you could proc something like Threats Attack and Defense 2, then Initiate with potentially Ignis now ready to go. You could also use Attack Smoke in this slot or try a fun Panic Ploy. If you have a mobile armor squad, then Armor March works to put on the pressure. For Murdocks that just want to stay back and chill out, you could go full enemy phase with stances, bonds, or forms. Maybe you want distant defense for distant counter. For survivability, you technically could use defensive specials to be annoying, but Noontime will actually charge in 1 action, and it's going to be ready for that counterattack thanks to Special Fighter. You do need healing to keep this thing active. With that much cooldown reduction, you could also just go for Aether. Now for premium builds, the game plan doesn't change much. We just slot in Far Save to go with our distant counter weapon. Murdock will have the A slot open, so you can run defensive skills like Unity to deal with debuffs or Distant Defense 4 to neutralize enemy field boss. Always nice since we just got a new unit who can hand out Treachery to people. Without your field buffs, Treachery just turns into Trashery. Now, I don't know if it's worth it, but you could run Fallen Shield. We keep getting 5-star axe armors with Far Save like Winter Black Knight or Young Hector. That's fine and dandy, but there is a dude who hangs out with his friend, and he carries a red bow that has armor effectiveness, plus he can pre-charge a special. Dual Crom, kinda scary, but Fallen Shield would get rid of the armor effectiveness, which would also drop Deadeye damage a lot. Something to consider. Now, Murdock could take this further with Armored Beacon. He can't charge it in 1 action without slaying, but having the unpierceable damage reduction against ranged specials could be worth it. Maybe you throw in Deflect skills for brave attacks. That said, you could also just use Hardy Fighter with the 2 cooldown Sacred Cow, but you're going to lose that on cooldown, which you need to get from elsewhere, and you're also not going to have guard. Now let's go back to Special Fighter in the tier 4. If you can get it, it adds healing on the special activation. Murdock cannot abuse slaying bonfires or slaying armored beacons, but for the instant counterattacks, you can run Moonbow or Glimmer. With Moonbow and Special Fighter 4's healing, it's like a mini Aether, assuming the enemy doesn't bring guard. I also do want to point out that Special Fighter works on both phases, and so does Murdock's free follow-up. I know Savior's all the rage for good reason, but it's nice to have an arm unit with some player phase agency, for example like Brave Edelgard. On the topic of fodder, worth mentioning that Distant Defense 4 is on Valentine's Henriette, and she also has Attack and Res Far Save. Use your free Soul or Picnic Leo to get Distant Defense 3 to get both skills. Henriette is available from the normal 3 Divine Codes common manuals, so if you still have a stash of those, then this is a really easy option to build around. For Unity skills, you can get attack and defense or attack and res from multiple sources, but defense and res Unity is only on legendary Mur, who is summonable right now. You don't have to go full defense res with Murdock, you can mix in attack skills as you wish. As for Arcane Downfall, first off, there could be a second Arcane Axe that might be better in the future. Otherwise, its main selling point is the slang effect, and you're gonna get breath type cooldown as well. Accelerated specials is just too valuable, and if you don't want to go the distant counter route, then you could get better melee combat from arcane weaponry. Only stats matter for arcane weapons, so if you don't care about speed, Murdock's still just the best option among his non-5-star peers. So, should you promote Murdock to 5 stars? This is definitely an easy yes, if you want a mergeable Axe army unit, and you're okay with some free-to-play limitations. Murdock ain't beating young Hector, but as far as heroic grail units go, he's the most interesting for 3 reasons. 1, his stats are somewhat min-maxed, not wasting too many points in speed, which is making building him much easier. 2, Wyvern Hatchet, pretty awesome. Innate distant counter and army unit is great, and it comes with a healthy amount of debuffs and a free follow-up, that's a real good benefit. Third reason is that Murdock brings Special Fighter 3 to the Grail pool. You know power creep is bad when this skill is free, and while it's not all that still insane, it's just crazy to have around. For those not merging Murdock, having Special Fighter around is awesome, and you can also make nice budget builds for your other units. If you do build this guy, but you still need Special Fighter, that's a lot of heroic grails that it's going to cost. Now as a whole, I would say Murdock is easily the most impressive free-to-play armor we've gotten since Black Knight. There aren't a ton of non-5-star options, and literally just having min-max stats would have been enough to stood out. You throw in an actually good and fun unique weapon plus Special Fighter, and you have a fantastic heroic grail unit. He isn't the most optimal compared to our 5-star armors, but hey, you can merge him to plus 10, and that's always fun when you're the highest BST class in the game. That's all I got to say about Murdock. Let me know your thoughts on him and his oversized hatchet. Our other 3 heroic grail armies this year weren't bad per se, but it's super obvious they were limited by that free-to-play status. Murdock just got a ton of love. Thank you for watching. I'll be back to talk about Ephemer for this month, so hope to see you in the next video.